So what happened exactly with Alejandra? After an idyllic weekend of smoking weed in the sunshine by day and dancing by the fire by night, suddenly Alejandra's rich older boyfriend Eduardo was there at the beach, getting off a donkey in the evening, being spotted by Alejandra, who was shocked and jumped up from where she was sitting with me and ran to him, flinging herself into his arms, suddenly glowing the way I wanted to make her glow. I can't describe the emotional massacre going on inside me. My doubts became scythe-like, mowing down my hopes and dreams. Because in that moment, everything good I wanted was wrapped up in her. Whatever else I desired, she was there, by my side. I had a lyric that went, "The wolfman's hope is like a frozen rose dusted with frost, breaking heights of beauty just before it's lost. So he makes a map to back before the blaze of love began. He's reduced to fire's embers in the shape of a man." That brittle rose petal, knocking on death's door in her Sunday best, shining like a diamond into ruby, did the wild thing. That was me. Built for beauty and love, not to withstand the cold winds of winter. And now, to be so unmanned, I felt not quite human. Like I'd become a ghost and have to find my way back to myself. Instead of fire burning bright and proud, I am dying embers. No dancing for me, just fading to ash. It was clear now that there hadn't been some unbreakable mood disorder, some prison of sadness keeping her heart safely out of reach, when all that had to happen was for one of her other boyfriends to show up to completely cure her and likely have her moving her stuff into his tent as soon as he got it set up. She avoided my eyes assiduously. Not even a nod or a shrug did I merit. There couldn't have been a clearer demonstration of where we stood, or rather where I stood. Looking back, I don't know if Alejandra was ever depressed or if that was just code for, I don't want to hurt your feelings, or maybe just, I don't want to have an awkward conversation. Whatever. I had let myself fall for her before it was reasonable to do so, and now I would pay the price. The sky had started to turn as Eduardo had arrived. At least they seemed to line up in my memory. But the sky was dark and the wind was up, and so besides it being high tide, we had a bit of weather blowing in. I looked over at Alejandra, draped over the man who apparently laid claim to her heart, and looked out at the sea, and the only thought in my head was, I feel like swimming. Tom somehow knew immediately what I was up to. He had known I was deeply into Alejandra and couldn't have been blind to the whole drama playing out in front of him. He saw me eyeing the ocean, sized it up himself. It was choppy to say the least, and the wind was up. There wasn't any thunder or lightning yet, but the rain was coming our direction, if the dark swath of sky rolling towards us was any indication. I felt a strange chill. I felt like an echo, like a fading facsimile. I had a lyric that went, "The lightning that always strikes twice is the echo of my heart's desire, and the thunder from a sunny sky is the echo of my heart's amplifier, and the breeze that only whispers for a moment is the echo of my lungs' collapse, and the North Star calling from the top of the world is the echo of ambition's traps." Like the North Star guiding weary travelers, I had followed my heart's ambition without hesitation. I was Kid Icarus strapping on my waxy wings and gambling my life on a faith based more in hope than evidence. And now I felt like the best parts of me had been spent, had been shouted into the wind, and had only returned as a distant ricochet, a sorry substitute for the power and velocity of my once sturdy song. I had been out in the sun on limited water rations for 2 days straight. Not only was I borderline sunburned everywhere, but I was dehydrated and felt the nausea and headache of heat stroke, despite the cooling night. I had stayed high for nearly 48 hours straight on shitty joint weed, and my lungs were showing the wear and tear. My head felt heavy and sleepy, while at the same time feeling wired to a high voltage line. Only the connection to the voltage was ragged and haphazard, like someone had just ripped the cable free and jammed it into me, and now it coursed through my veins saying one word: escape. It was a nice word, not pretentious or ostentatious, no unnecessary syllables, no escapade waiting on the other end, just simple root and prefix. So it was in this dull-witted state that I opened my mouth to announce to the group, "I'm going for a swim." Only I happened to be interrupted by Eduardo announcing that he had brought food and alcohol for all of Alejandra's friends and directed us over to where a small pile of supplies had been unloaded off a riderless donkey. There was a cooler with tequila and fresca, as well as beer and a cornucopia of snacks of every variety imaginable. Like he had gotten high before he made his grocery list, which of course was perfect for the group he was catering to. Eduardo probably wasn't a bad guy. It was easy to imagine myself doing the same thing if I had the money to spare, but who knows? There are certainly plenty of people with money who never do a charitable thing in their lives. Still, I couldn't help but see Eduardo as an interloper, come to steal Alejandra away, to buy her love instead of earning it the honest way. It was good that Eduardo had interrupted my announcement. It was much more my style to just go off without anyone knowing, to not invite a big spectacle of everyone telling me what a bad idea it is, of shifting the attention onto myself unnecessarily. Drama-free. That's sort of one of my pet peeves. People who just have some sort of psychological need for attention, who feel compelled to make things about them, or at least direct the focus of the group onto them at regular intervals to keep the ego fire fueled. That wasn't me at all. Much better to just reappear later with my hair wet from swimming, and if anyone noticed, then that was on them. Would Alejandra notice? Or would she be hidden away in Eduardo's tent for the rest of the night? I had a lyric that went, "Petrify me, fossilize me, so long as somewhere buried in your heart you recognize me. My heart branded nemesis by my broken-legged Pegasus." That willingness to be turned to stone, to become only a memory or imprint of life, a monument to something that was and never will be again, so long as you are all those things in one particular heart. To crave a home in someone's heart, just a little one, because with all that I gave, if all of my favors and affection disappear like dust, then I don't know if I'll be able to rebuild them, reconstitute or recharge them. If it was all for nothing, then I am nothing. But give me a little place in your heart, and let me be the man who was good and kind and loved you well, even if you didn't feel the same, and I will carry on. I took a deep breath, a last long look at Alejandra. Did part of me know that I was borderline suicidal, or at least borderline crazy and prone to make reckless decisions? That I might not only be looking at Alejandra for the last time, but looking for the last time at the goddess form of woman? For what driving force better deserves the spot of totemic veneration than the female form? What had I worshipped more than the magical connection of which I was only one half, and needed to find my matching piece? So in my head I bowed down one last time, and in the flesh I let out a quiet breath, and then turned and headed for the dark ocean. Tom was right behind me. "Hey." I felt justified in ignoring this first call. Just kept walking, striding towards judgment. The wind was high, maybe I hadn't heard. Tom hustled to catch up with me, grabbed my shoulder, forcing me to turn. "Hey." "Yeah?" "What are you doing? What's it look like?" "You're not going swimming right now." Definitely not a good idea. Tom was very serious. I wondered if there was going to be a physical confrontation. I still had a good 30 pounds on him, though he was a handful for anyone to handle. But he didn't want to fight me, nor did I want to fight him. But the ocean was the only thing that felt right at that moment. The wind felt good, high and steady, and the rain felt fresh on my skin. But the rain and wind were just an appetizer, or they were the icing without the cake. I needed to be engulfed in the fluid planet and feel the contact on my skin, the reassurances of the steady currents and ebb and flow of waves.